Welcome back, listeners. Today, we're going deep, really deep, into a book that's both fascinating and infamous. Aleister Crowley's Liber Ale Veliges. You probably know it as the Book of the Law.
Oh, yeah, the Book of the Law. It's not just some obscure text. It's the foundation of Thelema.
Right, Thelema. That's the spiritual philosophy Crowley developed, back in the early 1900s? The guy was dubbed the wickedest man in the world.
He certainly had a flair for the dramatic, didn't he? And that drama is definitely woven into the origin story of the Book of the Law. Crowley claimed it was dictated to him.
Dictated, like word for word.
Word for word, over 3 days in 1904 by a supernatural entity named Ewas.
Okay, now that's a story. Putting aside the whole divine inspiration debate, what's this book actually about? It's divided into 3 chapters.
3 chapters, each with its own distinct voice and focus, yeah. It's like getting 3 books in one.
And they're not exactly light reading, are they? I've tried to dip my toes into the Book of the Law before. It's dense, man.
Oh, it is. The language, cryptic, full of symbolism, numerology.
Makes Dan Brown stuff look like kindergarten material. But here's the thing. Beneath all that, it grapples with some pretty big questions.
Oh, absolutely. Questions about individual purpose, about free will. It's like a map trying to show you your place in the universe.
A map written in a code only, like a super genius could crack.
And the wild part is, this book was written over a century ago.
Yeah.
And it still has this pull, this influence on modern esoteric and occult movements. It's like Crowley stumbled onto something timeless, something that still resonates with people today, this deep human desire for self-discovery.
So are you ready to unpack some of these secrets, explore this book, journey with us?
Let's dive in. I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay, we'll start with Chapter 1, The Manifestation of Nuit. It introduces Nuit, the Egyptian goddess of the night sky, and her message is huge, literally cosmic.
It is. Her opening line, "Every man and every woman is a star," is one of the most famous from the book.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
And it's interesting because it almost predicts our modern obsession with individuality, this whole find your spark thing.
Like Newt foresaw the age of, Instagram influencers.
Exactly. But she's not just talking about standing out. Newt's talking about potential. This idea that we are all, in a way, microcosms of the universe.
Yeah.
Capable of incredible things.
Right.
And this ties into another core concept, the Cobs.
Cubs? Sounds kind of like something you'd order at a fancy coffee shop. What is it exactly?
The Cobs, it represents your inner self. Not the surface stuff, but the true essence.
Yeah.
Feel a bit like the seed of a giant oak tree. That tiny seed holds the potential for an entire forest.
Okay, get it.
It's saying we each have that seed inside us, that cobs waiting to be nurtured.
So it's not just about, being different for the sake of being different. It's about, connecting with that deeper part of yourself and letting it grow.
Precisely. And this idea of the cobs, it's similar to concepts in other traditions.
Yeah.
Like in theosophy, they have the higher self. It's this idea of connecting with a more evolved part of yourself.
So Nuit is basically giving us an ancient Egyptian version of self-actualization, tapping into your inner greatness.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But she doesn't stop there. Nuit also introduces the idea of chosen ones, specifically the Beast Crowley himself and the Scarlet Woman.
Ooh, okay, now we're getting into the territory that made Crowley so controversial. Who are these figures? What's their role in all this?
According to the book, they are destined to guide humanity toward a new era of enlightenment.
Yeah.
One that embraces these principles that Nuit's outlining.
So they represent a break from traditional ways of thinking, a radical shift.
Exactly. And central to this new era is the idea of love and ecstasy as pathways to spiritual growth.
Love and ecstasy, that's not exactly what pops into your head when you think of Aleister Crowley.
Right.
The guy had a wild reputation.
He did. And this is where the book starts to really challenge conventional morality.
How so?
Nuit advocates for a kind of spirituality that embraces pleasure, passion, the whole spectrum of human experience.
So we've got a cosmic goddess, a call to self-discovery, and a hint of scandal. And this is just Chapter 1. I can't wait to see what unfolds next.
Yeah, Chapter 1 definitely lays the groundwork for, a pretty wild ride through Crowley's philosophy. It's like he's saying, wake up,
Question everything you think you know about spirituality.
Exactly. And just when you think you've got a handle on things, bam, Chapter 2.
The hiding of Hadid.
The hiding of Hadid.
Yeah.
And a new voice enters the scene, Hadid.
Who's described as, a solar deity? The complement to Nuit?
Right. If Nuit's this vast, expansive cosmos, then Hadid's like like the concentrated point of energy, the will that drives
The
creation.
spark.
Yes, the spark.
God, I gotta say, Hadith's pronouncements, they're a lot more intense than Nuit's.
Oh, yeah.
He's all about embracing, like, the raw power of existence, even the parts that make us squirm a little. Well, like when he says existence is pure joy and sorrow is merely a fleeting shadow, that's a pretty bold statement.
It is, especially when you look around and see, all the suffering in the world.
Yeah.
But I think what Hadith's getting at is the importance of perspective. Yes, there's pain, there's sorrow, but it's not the whole story.
Okay.
There's also joy, beauty, wonder, even in the darkest places.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But then Hadith goes on to say, compassion is the vice of kings. I mean, isn't compassion a good thing?
It is. It is. But he's making us think, right? He's suggesting that sometimes compassion can be a crutch, It holds us back from taking action.
Ah, interesting.
Or pursuing our goals. Maybe he's saying true strength is being able to make those tough choices, even if they're not always popular.
So it's not that compassion is bad, but we need to be aware of how it can be, like, misused or even manipulative.
Yes. And this leads us to another major theme in Chapter 2. The pursuit of one's true will. Hadith's really adamant about this.
Yeah.
Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let societal expectations, even compassion, stop you from figuring out your true purpose, and going after it.
This idea of true will, it's at the heart of thelema, right? Like the guiding principle.
It is.
But how do you figure out what your true will even is?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah. There's no, like, cosmic instruction manual.
There isn't. But Hadith gives us some clues. He tells us to pay attention to our deepest desires, the things that make us feel alive, the things we're passionate about.
Okay.
And he's saying that true will, it doesn't come from outside. It comes from within.
It's like he's saying, turn down all the noise and listen to that inner voice.
Yeah.
But what about people who might twist Hadith's message? Like the stuff about strength, about casting off compassion.
Right.
I mean, couldn't someone use that to justify being selfish or even worse, being harmful?
Absolutely. And that's a valid concern. I mean, Crowley's philosophy, any powerful ideas, really, they can be misinterpreted, twisted, used for bad things. But thelema, at its core, it's about empowering yourself, but not at the expense of others.
Right. So true strength, it's more nuanced. It's, like you said earlier, finding that balance.
It is. Between your own goals and recognizing that we're all connected.
Yeah. And that leads us to another interesting part of Chapter 2, where Hadith encourages, indulging in sensory experience, rejecting conventional morality.
Right. This is where Crowley gets his reputation as a bit of a libertine.
The whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll image.
Exactly. And, Crowley was complicated, often contradictory, but you have to understand the context.
Okay.
He was writing during a time when Victorian morality was still, this really strong force. And he saw it as stifling, like it was suffocating the human spirit.
Ah, so it's not that he's necessarily advocating for just like pure hedonism.
Right. It's more that he's urging us to question those rules, those limitations that society tries to impose.
To think for ourselves.
Exactly. To embrace the fullness of human experience, to explore our desires, our passions without shame. But of course, that doesn't mean just throwing caution to the wind,
Right.
being reckless. It's about finding that balance again.
Between self-expression and being responsible for your actions.
Yeah.
So Hadith's basically urging us to break free from those old ways of thinking,
Yes.
to discover our own path.
Right.
But he's also reminding us that freedom comes with responsibility.
That's a great way to put it. Chapter 2 it's this call to action, this invitation to step into your power.
Yeah.
But it's also, like you said, a reminder.
To be wise.
To be wise, to be discerning.
Okay, so we've explored Nuit's cosmic vision, Hadith's fiery call to action. What awaits us in the final chapter of the Book of the Law?
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, the grand finale.
Yeah, it's titled Abrahadabra, the Reward of Ra-Hurkut.
Abrahadabra sounds magical.
It does, doesn't it? And this is where things, I think, really get interesting. We meet a new voice, Ra-Hurkut.
Who's Ra-Hurkut?
He's a war god.
Yeah.
Represents the active manifestation of Horus.
Okay, so we went from cosmic mother, Nuit, to fiery life force, Hadith, and now we've got, a war god entering the scene?
That's right.
Definitely feeling a shift in energy here, like we're moving from, contemplation to action.
Yes, exactly. If Nuit gave us the blueprint and Hadith lit that spark, then Rahorquit is all about taking that energy and shaping it into something real.
Ah.
He's like the architect, takes the raw materials of our true will and helps us build a life that reflects our purpose.
So how does he do that? What kind of instructions does he give us?
So one of the big themes in Chapter 3 is the idea of creating a secret house.
A secret house.
Yeah, it's a space where individuals can cultivate their true will and connect with others who share their vision.
Okay. So is this a literal house, like a place you go?
It could be, or it could be more metaphorical, a state of mind, an inner sanctuary, a place to connect with your true self.
I'm picturing like a bohemian artist's loft.
Mm.
Or maybe like a secret society meeting in the shadows. It's definitely got that vibe of exclusivity.
Exclusivity, yeah. And that ties into another theme that comes up here. The role of the Scarlet Woman.
Oh, right, from Chapter 1.
Right. Rahorquit, he describes her as this powerful figure. She embodies independence, sexuality, and a rejection of all those societal norms.
So she's kind of like a proto-feminist icon, challenging those patriarchal structures.
You could definitely see it that way.
Yeah.
She represents breaking free from those traditional gender roles, embracing feminine power. And there's a sense that those who align with her, who are drawn to this new way of being, they'll be part of something special, like a vanguard, leading the way to a new era.
It's interesting how this chapter blends individual empowerment with creating a new social order. Like Crowley envisions this society where everyone embraces their true will, but there's also this hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like certain people are destined to be leaders.
That's a really sharp observation.
Yeah.
And it reflects that tension, that inherent tension in Crowley's philosophy between individual liberty and the need for structure, for guidance. He's not advocating for anarchy.
Right.
But a society built on self-discovery, on conscious evolution.
So how does this all play out? Does Rahorquit give us any glimpse into the future of this new society?
Well, he does offer some prophecies, some cryptic ones about future events, and the eventual rise of a new prophet who will carry the torch of Thelema forward. But these pronouncements, they're shrouded in symbolism.
That's Crowley for you. Always leaving us with more questions than answers. But that's part of what makes the Book of the Law so intriguing.
It is. It's a text that keeps giving. You can keep exploring, keep interpreting.
It's like a lifelong conversation.
Exactly. And that's one of the most valuable takeaways here. There is no one right way to interpret it, to apply its teachings. It's like a toolbox.
A toolbox for self-discovery.
Yeah, for viewing the world, for understanding your place in it.
So after this whirlwind tour through Nuit's cosmic visions, Hadith's fiery pronouncements, and Rahorquit's, strategic directives, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
The one thing. I'd say that the Book of the Law, for all its complexity, all the controversy, it's a call to action. It's saying, wake up, realize your potential, break free from those beliefs that are holding you back.
Yeah.
Create a life that aligns with your deepest values, with your aspirations. It's not a passive thing. This book, it's a catalyst.
A catalyst for transformation. I love that. And I think that's the perfect note to end on.
It is.
So if you, dear listener, are feeling even a little bit inspired to explore the Book of the Law and see what it means for you, well, we've done our job. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop trying to discover your true will.